day, and thank you again to all of our viewers. Welcome to another episode of the We Want to Know, the Action PAC show, hosted by yours truly. My name is Phil Letty. I am the Executive Director for the Action PAC, and I have a special guest candidate today, Mr. Ken Leon-Guerrero. Howdy, Ken.
How are you today?
Doing great, sir. Thank you for taking your time to speak with us today.
Well, I look forward to this opportunity because this is a very critical time for our island right now, and I'm glad that the Action PAC is helping get the information out there.
That's exactly our reasoning behind this podcast. And I do want to let our new viewers know, a quick little intro. The Action PAC was formed out of a need to play an active role in the government, beginning at the grassroots level. Action PAC comprises members from a cross-section of Guam society, representing all walks of life, and united in our belief that we can affect change through action. So we welcome you to get to know us better, and we hope to help you get to know our candidates better. So Ken, can you just tell us a quick intro about yourself, and then we'll jump right into our interview questions.
Well, for the past 15 years, I've been a community advocate here on Guam. I've been standing up for the people of Guam before 3 different administrations, 5 different legislatures, hundreds of board meetings over the past 15 years representing the people of Guam, because our people are so busy trying to keep their noses above water that they very rarely have time to attend any of these testimony opportunities on legislation or different boards and commissions or public hearings at Adelup, because they always hold them between 8 and 5. So for the past 15 years, I've been representing the people there. I've stood up against a number of issues like the Guam YTK issue, the Chamorro Land Trust issues, the waste energy issues, just to name a few.
Well, I firmly agree that that we do need more participation from our citizens whenever it comes to issues that affect our island, and in a sense hold the government and our lawmakers accountable. So I appreciate your efforts on that front. And now you are running to be one of those lawmakers for the island of Guam. And we're going to jump right into it, Ken. If you can please give us a look into what are your 3 platform pillars?
Well, the 3 main pillars of my platform are affordable housing. Right now, we are losing dozens of families every week because they can no longer find a place to live that they can afford. We have people who are working in the hospitality industry that are living in cars and parking lots around the island or on the backs in people's backyards and stuff. My second item, obviously, is going to be to strengthen public health education programs. Because as you know, 2 years ago, I had 14 very serious comorbidities that if I'd taken every drug and rented a CPAP machine as prescribed, I would have been spending over $1,000 a month on medications. But through education, I was able to lose 128 pounds and eliminate 14 chronic medical conditions. Why isn't public health doing more to educate our people? Because it's cheaper to teach people how to be healthier than it is to medicate their way. And the third item is public safety through early drug intervention programs. This is something I've been all over the Calvo administration on and the Leon-Guerrero administration on. And after 10 years of champion bringing in more drug detection dogs, finally, just months before the election, the administration trumpets their victory of bringing in 4 more dogs when they should have brought in 40 based on the amount of drugs we have flowing through this island. So those are the 3 main pillars of my candidacy. And as you know, I'm running a voter initiative program. I'm not waiting until I get into the legislature to make Guam better. I'm doing it now.
Very, very strong pillars, Ken. Definitely the affordable housing crisis is very, very real for many, if not most of our citizens today. It is becoming a burden on top of the other areas of inflation that we are all facing. And then definitely, the Medicare and the health awareness rather. Instead of having our island residents as consumers to the medical industry, we should really be pushing as a government and as a community the awareness of the natural remedies or the way to really combat your health elements, not just combat the symptoms. And then definitely and then I love that you're closing it out with a hyper focus on the drug pandemic on Guam, because there is a drug pandemic on Guam, and a lot of the issues in that's related to our crime statistics are definitely drug related or drug induced. So those are some great pillars, Ken. And we'll jump to the next question, and that would be, what is one main focus item that you believe you can realistically accomplish in one term?
Well, actually all three of them, but I want to focus on the affordable housing, because the middle class people of Guam is rapidly shrinking, because those that have skills and talents are leaving our island. They're being lured to the continental mainland, which reduces our tax base. And now what we end up with is a population of economic hostages. The majority of people who are working in hospitality do not have middle-class incomes unless they have 3 or 4 jobs. And our tourism industry is still recovering. So we're not seeing people get the hours they need to live in today's society. I mean, I met a guy that's homeless, living in a car behind a Ganya shopping center. He's getting 8 to 10 hours a week. That's not enough for him to be able to stay in his house, so he's living in a car. We need to understand that our people are being trapped between two strong forces. We have the military buildup, and the military allowances are taking a lot of affordable housing off the market. And then unfortunately, we have GURA, which has taken a lot of affordable housing off the market so that they can turn around and lease it out to people who do not have the ability to rent houses. So what we have is the federal government coming in, taking affordable housing off the market from 2 different directions. And then people who are working in part-time jobs, 2 or 3 part-time jobs. I've even talked to people in hospitality, between the husband and wife have 5 jobs. And that's no way to be able to, it's just funny how every single phone I've got is ringing all at once. It's no way for a family that's trying to recover. And we're talking about 12 years of economic damage that has been done. When you look at the mortgage meltdown, I remember 2009, you could roll a bowling ball down any aisle at Kmart on Christmas Eve and not hit anybody. We haven't recovered from that yet before this pandemic hit and further crippled our economy. Small businesses barely were able to get their feet under their businesses before we got hammered again. So the only economic miracle we've got happening right now is when we have B-52s flying over the island, dropping billions of dollars on our economy every couple of months.
Yeah, definitely. Like I mentioned earlier, when you explained your 3 pillars, the affordable housing crisis is just that. It is a crisis. I graduated high school out there in California, and when I took a trip earlier this year for some training and a dealer conference, it was a stark difference in what I remembered. And the homelessness is just through the roof, and it's just a sad picture. You see all these encampments, and I was driving my kids around the other day, and we were passing by American Asian Mall, and when you're taking a left towards Tumon, I started to notice there are maybe 2 to 3 tents that's starting to form a homeless encampment, and it's just a sad picture. So I really do hope that our lawmakers and our business community, as well as just the regular citizens, that we're able to all work together to find a way to really help those that are struggling tremendously. So there's definitely a strong main focus point.
You notice it now more when you're walking around Ganya, and you're seeing people, and we're seeing whole families sitting out there by the Superior Court building near McDonald's. We're seeing whole families sitting over there in Ocapela's parking lot while the breadwinners are out there on the corners. And the final slap in the face was when I was driving through Tamuni. You see that there's a sign, new homes starting $299,000. It's nearby your office building. Have you seen that sign?
I have, you know.
Think about that. We have 80% of our island's population is in low-wage service sector jobs. And we're showing homes starting at $299,000. You know, that's the real problem that we have right here. And it's driving, I mean, look at the number of students we've lost in the last few years. We've dropped from over 40,000 students down to under 30,000 over the last 10 years. And then when you look at the fact that according to the US Census over the last 10 years, we create 100 new homes a year. We're graduating 3,000 people a year from our education system, and we're building 100 homes a year. That's why recruiters have no problem hitting their max every year, because that for many of our young adults, that's the only option they have. They can't afford to live here. They can't afford to rent on the jobs they are able to get here. We have to do more to make it possible for young families to start on Guam and stay on Guam. And it all begins with affordable housing.
Definitely affordable housing, looking at our secondary educational program. And I'm a big fan of our trades academy. So you're right, we just need to feed more opportunities to the next generation that will be leading our island. All right, Ken, so we're on our closing question. And as you know, and as most will know, the Action PAC is comprised of the biggest and largest business organizations on Guam, all of the chambers, the Contractors Association, Realtors Association, and Guam Hotel and Restaurant Association. But we do like to clarify that the businesses are made up of employees, which are our residents. So there is a streamline between opportunities that the businesses create to putting the food on the table for our residents. So since with that said, how will you help our local business community during this time of economic recovery?
Well, the first thing that I would do as a legislator is, as you may have noticed, I've been through my voter initiative process, I've been very, very aggressive about getting certain initiatives passed. All these initiatives, whether they pass by voters or if I get in the legislature, I'll work to get them passed. But there are three ones that are going to help businesses. The first one is the Corrupt Practices Act. Because through the Corrupt Practices Act, we all hear stories about how government authorities and managers and employees misuse their power and authority. And whenever that happens, it costs businesses opportunity and it costs taxpayers dollars. For example, we've all heard the proverbial stories about employees taking heavy equipment and going out and competing against small businesses for jobs. Just imagine how profitable you could be if you didn't have to pay for your equipment, didn't have to pay for your fuel, and didn't have to pay for the maintenance. You know, so there are many things that we can do to make the business climate better. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to reduce the tax burden on our businesses, because it's hard for a business to be competitive against the internet when we're carrying a load of taxes that internet businesses don't pay. And this administration has destroyed so many small businesses that I'm worried about the future for those that have survived, because what has happened is this administration and legislature have trained our people to go to the internet first. When I'm at the post office and 3 out of 5 people are walking out carrying boxes from Walmart, that tells me that another small business has died. You know, we need to reverse that trend. 2 ways we do that: reduce the tax burden on the businesses because they get it from us. And the second thing we need to do is we need to look at ways we can diversify and reduce government of Guam, because there's no way we can keep passing billion-dollar budgets on the business structure and tax base we have left. The one way we can do that is transfer things that the government shouldn't be doing but does anyway, and transfer them out to small businesses, which will probably do them better, faster, and more cost effectively than the government does. And then in the process, strengthen our private sector businesses instead of keep expanding government sector businesses at a time when the tax base is shrinking. Boy, did I take that one a long
No,
circle.
you're right though. We agree that that especially when we're touting a surplus, it's important for the government to act as that supplementary backbone to the businesses and the business communities as we recover post pandemic. Because as we all know, the shutdown and those rough times that the businesses face, where many closed, and unfortunately many were small businesses.
Yeah.
It's time for us to revitalize our economy, and the government's duty is to support the businesses. So definitely,
Absolutely,
yeah,
because the government only employs 11,000 people. Businesses employ 50,000 people. Now that $100,000 surplus that the administration is so brazen about trumpeting every 30 seconds is money that came out of our pockets and did not go to small businesses. Because if I had my share of that $100 million, I would be going to town more often than I go right now, because I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income. So my lifestyle has been hampered. I don't eat out 3 or 4 times a week like I used to. I don't go to the movies 2 or 3 times a week like I used to. I don't shop at a lot of small businesses locally because the inflation combined with the high cost of just getting around has severely restricted what I'm able to do with what limited funds I have. And that's not just me, that's everybody. But the people that are suffering the most are people who are expected to own a business, comply with the law, pay all the obligations and taxes, while the legislature says, hey, if you want to compete against restaurants, all you have to do is go in and crack 2 eggs in a skillet and sell it to your next door neighbor. Don't worry about health certificates. Don't worry about safety inspections. And hey, don't worry about those pesky plastic bags either, So, we have a legislature that is not focusing on the common good. We have a legislature that's focusing on getting reelected. That's not the same thing. There's a graphic that I have. I don't know if I can share it. Let me try my screen share. Do we have enough time for me to share?
let's see.
There's a WhatsApp graphic I sent you. I mean, if the people watching this video want to make our island better, what we have to do is vote for people who are committed to public service, not to serving politicians. And Bill 1136 is a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Because in Bill 1136 was going to make the ad loop more accountable to the people on this public health emergency that we've been in now ever since. And every month we get an extension, and we've gotten an extension every month since March 2020. But the reasoning is flawed, all the background is flawed, and at the same time, what we're looking at here is we have a legislature that made serving ad loop the priority of serving the people. So that's a part that really frustrates me, that the people's house serves ad loop, not the people. So when you look at the voting record of Bill 1136, that tells you which politicians in the 36th legislature are more concerned about serving politicians than serving the people of Guam. And if you look at that as the ultimate blacklist, for want of a better word, then that's how we can make our island better and stronger and our people safer, by making sure that we vote for politicians who are committed to public service first over furthering their political careers. I think the fact that I've been a community advocate for 15 years, and anybody who's been in non-governmental organizations, NGOs, knows there's no money in it, there's no glory in it. You do it because you love the people. That's why I've been doing it for the past 15 years. The taxpayers of Guam paid for my education that helped me live an incredible life. And this was my way of paying back. Now, the reason I'm running for the 37th legislature is to take my community advocacy from a seat in the hearing room, where senators choose not to listen to me more often than not, to a seat in the legislative hall where they will have no choice but to listen to a view that is going to put the people first.
Well, that's excellent. A lot of great points. And I do, in closing, I do want to remind our viewers that one of the things that you said that I want to highlight is look at the voting record of those that have had the privilege of serving in our previous legislatures. Look at what they have done and ask yourself, bias aside, is your life better? Is the quality of our life on Guam better? And how did it benefit, if it did benefit, the people in a whole on island? So I do love that statement. And Ken, before I remind everyone the upcoming dates, did you have a closing statement to the potential voters who you are vying for one of their votes in the upcoming primary?
I'm Ken Leon-Guerrero. I'm running, my legal name is Joaquin Leon-Guerrero. I'm number 7 on the Republican side of the ballot. And in closing, I want to encourage everybody who watches this and every business who is watching this to make sure that your employees have the time to go and vote. Because the more people that vote, the stronger our government gets, the more accountable our government gets, and the more accountable our politicians feel when they see large numbers of voters. I've been a public advocate, a community advocate for 15 years. I want to be a public servant in the 37th Guam legislature to make sure that our citizens are put first in every piece of legislation that comes walking across our desks there.
Excellent, Ken. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me as well as our audience. We both agree an informed and knowledgeable voter is a powerful voice at the polls. And as a reminder, this year's primary is on August 27th, which is right around the corner. And if you have the opportunity and you are registered, I suggest you take advantage of the early voting that's going down at the Westin Hotel. I'm sorry, it's going down at Westin Hotel, and it is going. It is open through this Friday, which is the 19th. Very quick, convenient process. They have designated parking. They have golf carts to bring you up to where the polls are at, and they even have the new electronic voting machines, which will 100% eliminate spoiled ballots. So again, early voting is going through the 19th, which is this coming Friday. Thank you so much, Ken, and thank you so much to our viewers for tuning in to another episode of We Want to Know, the Action Pack Show. Stay tuned for more content. And if you do support Mr. Leon-Guerrero in his candidacy for one of the legislature seats, and he makes it past the primary, you can bet we'll have another conversation with him as we lead up to the general election. So again, Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Adios Guam. Stay safe. It's wet out there. Please do drive safe and buckle up. Thank you so much from the Action Pack.